Unlock the power of the Merkaba to jump dimensions. Warping space-time with your energy body to travel the universe. Magic is nothing more than being able to warp space-time to your will. The Merkaba is a sacred 4D geometric symbol which contains all forms within itself. Maoshan sorcerers discovered how to combine spheres and triangles with their energy bodies to open space-time portals. This is the sacred combination of spheres and triangles, as well as the 8-sided symbol which actually unfolds into the Merkaba. Practices that I have been sharing with you on the shop in the thunderwizard.com website are practices that will allow you to jump into different dimensions. When you master this energy, you can then take it into meditation and use it to literally shift dimensions like you would change numbers on a combination lock. We don't live in a single universe. We live in a universe of probabilities. The universe that you experience is the one that you unconsciously choose and manifest. Using these practices allows you to tap into the Merkaba so that you can shift into the dimension that you prefer to live in. Go to thunderwizard.com and click on Shop. Solar Flash Update 2024. The Solar Flash will create 3 new Earths, a 2D, a 3D, and a 5D. Each human must choose. Get my books on Amazon, Kindle, or Audible, or at michaelwilliamdenny.com. Not the kind that abduct, those are something else, but higher dimensional beings of light. And they have been educating me on the nature of the multiverse, things that you cannot learn in the third dimension, things you cannot learn from science or religion. And one of those things is that they let me know that there was going to be an Ascension event. And they showed me in a vision which was tailored to me and all of the symbolism that I respond to psychologically, so I won't get into that. But it was very clear the message that there was going to be an event that everybody would see, and it would be an event that would be of a highly profound spiritual nature. The truth is that everything you always have most deeply desired is the truth. You've wanted to be loved. You've wanted to be seen. You've wanted to be accepted. You've wanted to be safe. And that is the truth. When we break through the barrier of the third dimension, we connect to higher dimensional anything, just anything outside of the third dimension, the first thing that hits you is the unbelievable love. That's the only thing that exists. And that you experience how beautiful and loved and special you are. Hello, fellow human light beings. It is once again time for a live guided CE5 interdimensional meditation. But if you can hear my voice, I thought I just had a cold. It was getting better, and now I'm feeling pretty messed up. So I think I have COVID. And anyway, so I don't know if I'm in any position to be leading a meditation. I think we can pull it off. But I almost just came on and said, we can do a short question and answer. But anyway, let's let people show up a little bit, and then I will let you guys decide. I may not chant, but we have the recorded stuff, which I can just turn up, and I can just turn this up like this. So I might still be able to lead us through something, but anyway. It is what it is. So I guess while we're waiting, does anybody have any druthers one way or another? Would you prefer a meditation or not? I'm about to sneeze here in a second. All right, I didn't want to have to force you to listen to that. Anyway, it's weird. It's like I feel good, and then I feel horrible. And I feel good during the day, and then nighttime comes and I feel horrible. Anyway, so again, I'm waiting to hear what you guys want. Would you prefer to have a live guided meditation or a Q&A? Because I will do both. Let me write it in here. All right. So in case new people show up. Q&A is fine. TNE9 says Q&A. Okay. Well, we could do that. Yeah, I'm not thinking a whole lot clearly, but what I'm seeing in the world is pretty interesting. I am now firmly of the belief that, and I know, people get bent out of shape when we talk politics, but, it's a reality of our life. So sorry if that's something people don't want to talk about. But I am coming to the conclusion more and more that President Trump is in fact the man in the red hat, the, what do they call him? The Bahana that the Hopis talked about. We still have yet to see what's happening, but I've never seen anything like this. He is going in there, and if you're not following the news, he's really dismantling what we call the deep state, which is the bureaucracy. The government is completely run by unelected officials. It's an illusion that the elected officials come in and get anything done. They usually don't. Usually everything is just,
business as usual, and they might, make a couple of speeches. I've also never seen any president in my entire life ever be so transparent with the media. I mean, he does press events every day, and he doesn't hold anything back. I've never seen anything like that my entire life. You hear people on the campaign trail, and they talk and they talk and they talk and they make all these promises, and then as soon as they're sworn in, they disappear. You never see them again. And that's just the way it is. And I'm realizing that the whole campaign is just an audition tape. They're acting. It's got nothing to do with anything that they're going to do. And once they get in, then the bureaucracy and the intelligence arm of the government takes them aside and tells them, okay, now here's what's really going to happen. And they get all of their instructions and information from the CIA and from the Pentagon and from the lobbyists of all the corporations, and that's and they break every single promise that they make. That's just the way it's been my whole life. So, not that I think Donald Trump is perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I don't. But I think that he may very well be that Bahana character. So if he is that, the Bahana, depending on how the dark force elites choose to act, the Bahana is said to chop off their heads in front of the whole world. I think that is symbolic. And I think that's what's happening right now. What's happening right now is he is chopping off the head of the snake. He's chopping it off in front of the whole world. And we'll see if he can succeed or not. Anyway, like I said, I try not to get political, but I'm just telling you what I see. And what that does for me is it makes me very happy to think that the shift might very well be coming in at least that part of it. And, they're talking about revealing information about the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and MLK. And interesting, they all have K at the last letter. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see. All right, so it looks like we've got about 13 people. Doesn't look like any more is going to show up. So again, what would you guys prefer? Do you prefer a mild meditation or Q&A? It's kind of looking like I might not be able to survive a meditation if I'm blowing my nose this much. All right, so Q&A means that you guys ask questions. So this is what I used to do years ago. I used to do Q&As all the time. So you can ask any question you want, and I won't get upset if you ask a question that I don't like, because some people ask silly questions in my mind. But if you want to ask a question, go ahead. Let's see. Tordis is talking about Trump. He says he's like a team of guys. Nobody really has all this energy at this age, do they? I couldn't do it. He's just. I mean, I was thinking about that today. What if I was in his position and I got sick? I wouldn't be able to do all the stuff he's doing. Yeah, so amazing. Okay, guys, come on. You gotta have questions about something. Interdimensional meditation, ETs, dimensions, You gotta have questions about something. Because I don't got a whole lot to say here, and I'd hate to just end this. Well, no, here we go. Thoughts on. So first, I'm gonna be that pain in the ass I said I wasn't gonna be. People get lazy now. That's not a question. What are your thoughts on? So there's two things about that question that I find lazy. The first one is you don't write a complete sentence, because you wouldn't. If I was standing in front of you, you wouldn't go thoughts on. You would ask me a real question. Yeah, that's how old I am that bothers me. The other one is it's a very general question. What are your thoughts on? That's a very general question. I prefer questions that are more direct. Having said that, I said I would take any question. So thoughts on Tanuj Sodan's work of Matrix Unveiled. So you've got an assumption that I know what that is. I have no idea what that is, so I can't have any thoughts on it. Sorry. Thank you for the question. I don't know anything about it. Zinc, question. Do you think the sun will be less chance of giving you a burn if we're shifting? I hadn't thought about that. The truth is that we don't see it a lot. Well, when I was a kid in the 70s, we didn't wear any sunblock. And I lived in Southern California. And what we would do is the first day of summer, in the United States, we get the whole summer off. So the first day of summer, we would go down the beach and we would just lay there and get sunburned with the intention of getting sunburned, and then we would peel, and then we would be good for the rest of the summer. I mean, if somebody said that now, that sounds really awful and horrible. In fact, people as time went on, would say that's, you'll get skin, the big C. And, but that's what we did. I never wore anything. And we went out of our way to get dark. So by the end of the summer, I was quite dark. I mean, I still looked like a Caucasian person, but our skin is perfectly capable of getting that. In fact, way back in the 1800s, early 1800s, with Lewis and Clark, if you guys remember that from school, Lewis and Clark were the explorers, the English explorers who explored the whole west side of the continent. And in fact, I'm related to the Clark guy. He's like my great grand uncle or something like that. My mom's maiden name was Clark. But they couldn't distinguish, when people saw them, they couldn't distinguish them from Native Americans. Their skin was so brown because they'd been out in the sun the whole time. So this idea that, we're going to get sunburned it's an old idea. Another thing is that we've been lied to about skin C. We've been lied to about that. People tell you if you spend too much time in the sun that you'll get that. And the truth is that when people get skin C, it's always in places that are not seen. So it has nothing to do with the light of the sun. In fact, everything we've heard about vitamin D, we've been told that you can't take more than 1,000 IUs of vitamin D, and that's turned out to be completely, totally, utterly false. So it's not an issue. It's not an issue now. So, of course, I don't think it will be an issue in the future either. I go out of my way every day. This is one of the reasons that I live in places like I do, is so that I can go and walk in the sun every day for at least a half an hour. And I don't want to get sunburned. When I go surfing, I put stuff on my face because I don't want to get sunburned. But it's not because it's bad for me. Nothing wrong with it. By the way, if you're new, as you can tell from my voice, I am suffering from probably COVID, and I'm just not in a position to either mentally or throat-wise of doing any chants. So I asked everybody if they preferred we could still do a meditation, but I won't be doing any out loud chanting. So I asked people if they preferred a Q&A or meditation. And this is what I used to do. Like I said, this is what I did almost on a daily basis. And it was, a lot of people used to come to the channel because I would do these live Q&As. I stopped doing it. I don't really know why. See, what does it feel like to be in communication with an ET? Find out for yourself. I'll tell you, if you want to know, I actually explain that in detail on this channel, on many of the videos. You can go onto the channel and look for the Aliens playlist, and I've got a bunch of videos there. I also have books. If you look down here at the bottom, books, michaelwilliamdenny.com. I've written 2 books on explaining exactly what it feels like for me to communicate with higher dimensional extraterrestrials. So what happens with me, I don't know if it's going to be the same for you, but you can do it. So when we do these meditations, if you want to try it on your own, specifically so that you can communicate directly with an ET, and of course we do it here. I don't know if you're new to the channel or not, but all you have to do is just imagine yourself coming out of your body. Imagine yourself going up into the atmosphere outside of Earth's gravitational field, and you can see planet Earth, and you can see the sun and the moon and whatever else. And you don't have to do it perfectly, you just have the intention that that's where you are. And then you send out the invitation, and you say, is there any ETs here that would like to speak with me? Are there any beings of light that love me who would like to speak with me? You don't have to do that, but some people get scared. So if you say that, nothing bad will come looking for you. If you say, is anybody here that loves me, want to speak to me? And then just wait. And what happens, I think, with a lot of people, what happened with me is I felt like I was fantasizing. A little fantasy started happening in my head. And it felt like I was doing it. It felt like I was fantasizing about seeing a ship or seeing an ET. And, the one I saw looked like this guy, this mantis being. And then I imagined that we were communicating. And, that is probably what a lot of people experience. Now, the other thing that happens, and I ask them to do this, so if you want to ask them to do this, you can. I ask them to hit me with higher dimensional energy so that I know I'm not making it up. And, that's how, if I'm not sure, that's how I know. In fact, that was happening today. As I said, I was feeling very unwell. And I went out and just very shortly went out there and asked, is there anybody out there that can give me some healing? And I felt some energy in my chest. And I went, oh, okay, somebody hears me. So that's one thing. If you feel like some energy in your chest, that's a sign that somebody's responding to you. And then I imagined that I was talking with them. I invited them in, and I imagined in my mind that they said, we're going to put some energy, some healing energy into you. Would you like that? And I said, yes. And sure enough, I felt a lot of energy coming into my chest, which of course this is where all the garbage is. So you know, those are just some of the things that happen. But when it gets really intense, the energy can be so intense that you really start to the DMT in your brain really starts to go crazy. Like your brain releases a lot of DMT. DMT is the same chemical that's used in ayahuasca, and it's a naturally occurring chemical in the body. But I can feel that when I communicate to them that huge amounts of DMT are being released in my brain. And DMT, in my experience, is the window that allows us to pass through the dimensional barrier. So I feel that. I feel a lot of intense energy and a lot of emotions. But the main thing is the higher dimensional energy is very concentrated, and it doesn't feel like anything in the third dimension. And until you get used to it, the first experience is you might think that you can't breathe, because it'll feel like a weight is on your chest. And then start breathing and you realize, oh no, I can breathe. So that feeling of weight is actually electromagnetic energy, very concentrated electromagnetic energy that's not part of our third dimension. And it's connecting with your soul. I could explain that. That is a huge thing to, that there's a reason why we feel it in our soul. Anyway, but that would take brain power I don't have right now. Anyway, another way that you know that you're communicating with an ET is that, like I said, you'll have this fantasy. Now, I encourage people to actually engage in the fantasy. So you have to not care whether or not you're actually communicating or not. You have to not care. And just give yourself to the experience. Like I do in these meditations, lots of times I don't plan it out and I just let my imagination take me, and you'll hear me go, oh, okay, well, I guess we're doing that now. That's not because there's a being there staring in my face, talking at me, telling me what to do. It's because my imagination is creating something, and I know that I'm accomplishing something because I can feel the energy hugely. I can feel my crown chakra expanding. I can feel the energy of the beings. So that's how I know that it's real. I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, be open to the fantasy. Don't try and stop it. Don't try and control it. And don't judge it. Don't judge. There's plenty of times that I will reach out and try and communicate, and I'll start to go into a fantasy, and then I'll realize that it's just that. It's just my fantasy is, creating something, and there isn't anybody on the other end. But you have to be there. You have to be open to it. The first 2 times I did CE5, if you guys are new, go on to the channel, go to the Aliens playlist, and watch the video How I Became an Extraterrestrial. Because the first 2 times I made contact, but I didn't see it. I talked myself out of it. I had telepathic communication, but I talked myself out of it. And you'll see in there that I got video and audio evidence that beings were there, but I didn't see it. And that was because I just wasn't open to it. Of course, I didn't know what I was doing, so I didn't know what to expect. But I just downplayed whatever my fantasies were telling me, or my intuition was telling me, saying that's just me making it up. And so it wasn't until the 3rd time when the mantis being showed up, and he was so powerful that I couldn't deny it. His energy was so intense that it was impossible for me to pretend it didn't happen. And plus there were a bunch of other things that happened that proved it. So what's it feel like? Do it. Go Google CE5 protocols. You can also, we do the guided meditations here. You can do these, meditations.thunderwizard.com. You can go to the shop at thunderwizard.com, and you can get one of the meditations by itself. And in all of them, we interact with light beings, which is really, there's no difference. Any being that's in a higher dimension is a light being, including physical extraterrestrials. So they don't make a distinction between themselves and the gods, and there really isn't. It's just this ladder of consciousness that you can go up and down. And I never thought that would be the case. I never thought that talking to a god would feel the same as talking to an ET. I never realized that, but it does. And that's because gods are simply beings that are in higher dimensions. So what I learned is that in the third dimension, humans never leave this. Even when we're doing spiritual practices like shamanism and out-of-body experiences, a lot of those never go outside of the third dimension. So the thing that makes communicating with an ET, doing interdimensional meditation or CE5, is that you're actually making a connection to a higher dimension. Let's see, what else? Okay, now we're getting a lot of questions here. Again, if you're new, we're doing a question and answer because, as you can tell, I am not feeling well and my voice just can't do the chanting thing. All right, let's see what else. Okay, what does it feel like? Okay. I know you love, Zinc says, I know you love your herbs, but if you can reckon, you should get yourself some strong Manuka honey for your cold. All right, thanks. Arthur Rimbaud. Question, Mahadeva, how can I activate the electrical energy of the heart completely? Well, there's an assumption behind that. What does completely mean? Do you know what completely, what would be the characteristics of a completely awakened heart center? Let me see, what did you, so the electrical energy of the heart. So I think what you're referring to is the Mao Shan energy. So again, if you're new to the channel, you haven't done any of the practices, we do a practice that is very, very unknown, even among Taoist masters. They do what's called, they do a process of energy called Jing to Qi to Shen. The Mao Shan, even though they are the originators of the Taoist tradition, they had a secret practice and they did Qi to Shi to Yi. So the Shi energy is the feminine electrical energy of the heart. So where your soul sits. And again, if you want to know about this and you're listening to me and you've never heard this before, again, there's so many people that come on my channel and all they do is watch videos and they don't do the work. You have no idea what you're missing. Here at thunderwizard.com, the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong, the Mao Shan practices, all of that, that awakens an energy that normally stays dormant. So in your heart is where your soul resides. Your soul is a multi-dimensional being. It's not part of the third dimension. It's literally a magical portal right there. This is why when ETs speak to you, your heart oftentimes will feel like it's expanding, because it's that energy that is being stimulated. So your soul cannot interact with the third dimension directly. If it did, the third dimension would be like, those old, I'm aging myself here, when you see like a film strip and it gets stuck and then it burns and then the light burns it through. That's what would happen. If the soul by itself was released to the third dimension, it would burn a hole through the third dimension. So in order to protect the third dimension and allow you to be here, this energy called Shi spelled Xi. Shi, it surrounds the soul, and it is electromagnetic energy. And it not only protects the third dimension, it also protects the soul from the harshness of the duality of third dimension. So the soul loves everything and everybody, and third dimension is very cruel. So it protects the soul from that. So we do something that nobody else does. Yogis don't do it, other Taoists don't do it, shamans don't do it. We do specific exercises and mudras that activate the Shi, the electromagnetic energy of the heart. And so this, my teachers didn't understand this. I had to do a lot of reverse engineering to figure this out, but I finally did. And I came to find out that the reason why the martial art that I did was so powerful, I just barely tap somebody and they fall to the ground, or touch somebody, or just put my energy on them, they'll start crying or start laughing or all kinds of crazy stuff. Or you just walk into a room and if there's ghosts, they go away. The demons run away. It's because this is higher dimensional electromagnetic energy that is being projected out through the hands primarily, but the whole body does that. So that's what we're doing when we do that. I haven't talked about it in a long time, but if you come onto this channel and you think we're just doing regular Qigong, we're not. When I first started doing the Mao Shan, I was told, don't tell any Chinese people that you do this. I said, why? They said, because they'll think that you're an evil sorcerer. They'll be afraid of you. And I learned that the hard way. I was getting into the practices, and the energy was so amazing. I was doing the 5-element spirit fighting practices, which again are here at thunderwizard.com in the shop. And I was doing those practices, and I felt so good doing them. And I was driving down, I was in the valley. I lived in Los Angeles. I was driving through the valley, and I saw the Taoist Institute of North Hollywood. I wonder if it's still there. There was a guy named Carl Totten, and he was an abbot, and he had trained, or his teacher was some Taoist master in China or whatever. And I showed up and I said, I didn't know that there was all these different sects. I said, I just started learning Tao. And he said, oh, really? What sect? And I went, Mao Shan. And his face went, and he said, that stuff will kill you. That stuff's really powerful, but it'll kill you, and it attracts evil spirits. And I'm like, what? And they brought me in to his temple, and we walked around, and he showed me everything. I went back to my teacher, and told him about it, and he laughed, and he said, he says, I know that guy. Don't tell people you do this. They'll get so afraid. And then I went back because, my teacher wasn't teaching a lot of meditation at that point, and I wanted to learn meditation. So I went back, and I stood in front of the door, and I saw him. I could see him. It was like a glass front, storefront, and I could see him sitting at his desk. And he looked over and he saw me, and he kept on, pretend. And I must have stood there for like 5 minutes, because that's what you do, respect for the Sifu. You wait. And he finally gets up and he comes over. He blocks the door and he says, what? And I was a little shocked. I was like, do you teach that meditation class? He goes, yes. I go, okay, I guess that's all I wanted to know. And I found out later that he had most likely talked to his Sifu, who told him, don't let him in your dojo, or whatever they call it. Don't let him in your studio. This is what we're learning here. So I want to, Arthur, back to your question. How can I activate the electrical energy of the heart completely? Again, I don't know where you're coming from with that question, but that's, the people ask questions like, what is the best practice? What's the most, and, just activate it. Don't worry about if you're activating it completely. It's not a perfection thing. Just do it. But if you want to activate what I'm talking about, I don't think there's any place else you can find the practices that I teach. So go up here to thunderwizard.com. You can subscribe to the 90-day challenge. You can go to the shop and do the Mao Shan 5-element spirit fighting practices. That's probably the most powerful way. And there's all kinds of practices in there and mudras and things like that I teach in that. There's a mantra and meditation. There's all kinds of stuff. So I hope that answers your question. You say, let's see, no. Becky says, I've been doing these with you for about 2 months and I'm still waiting for it to happen. Waiting for what to happen? It's good. Again, don't assume that I know what you're talking about, because I just was talking for 20 minutes. Give me a second here. Don't assume that I know what you're talking about. Write in full sentences. Again, don't be lazy, guys. 2 most important things in this world is pay attention and put effort. And this is what, all the stuff, the emojis and people texting with their thumbs and only doing 2 letters. I understand it, but it's really, it's a concerted, it's an orchestrated effort to make you lazy so that you're dependent on technology and other people to do things for you. We should be able to clearly communicate. We should be able to communicate our thoughts and requests, and we should never assume that somebody knows what we're talking about unless we're in a real-time conversation with them. And so it's really about you. This will help you if you learn how to do that. So I'm assuming what you're talking about is you've been doing these with me for about 2 months and you're still waiting for it to happen. Well, I don't know what to tell you. Change your approach. The idea of waiting for it to happen is very passive. So make an attempt to communicate. I'll tell you what works for me a lot of time, if I don't feel an immediate connection, is that I will imagine myself reaching out. I'll smile. I'll send out positive energy, and then something will start to appear in my mind. And then I take that further and I reach out to that and I pull it towards me, and then I start communicating with it. And next thing I know, the energy is getting stronger and stronger. And that's me opening up the portal. So you got to do some work too. But not knowing you, I don't know if you have, like I did, if you have a strong, intellectual, emotional armor. Because that will get rid of it. Work on being open, loving, compassionate. Start imagining. Just assume that it's not going to happen. And start imagining that you're talking to the most loving, beautiful being, and that you're going to heap love onto them. They're really attracted to that. You start giving them compliments and tell them how much you love them and how much you appreciate. And you should hear how I talk to them. Now, they taught me how to do that because that's what they did to me. But if I were to close my eyes right now and reach out, I would say, are any of my beautiful, wonderful friends out there? I love you guys so much. You're so amazing, and my energy is so empowered by you. You're so beautiful, and and I just heap praise on them, and they show up. They like that. They love that, and that's because that's where they live. They live there. So if you're just sitting there waiting for something to happen, you're not engaging them where they are. So again, I don't know you well enough to know what's going on. Zinc question. Zinc, are you doing any of these practices? I recognize the name. But are you doing anything other than the free practices? Because that's the feeling I'm getting. And again, if you've been on this channel, maybe I'm wrong, but if you've been on this channel for as many years as I think, and you haven't, there's obviously something here for you. You could answer a lot of your questions if you did more work. You said, have you ever had any slightly negative effects from the Thung breath? Obviously you have, or you wouldn't ask that question. No, I haven't had any negative effects. The only negative effects I get is bad people leave my life. Sometimes they get mad at me and leave. But that's because the energy is driving them away. So if you're having negative experiences, I don't know what that means. You're having negative emotions. Again, I can't tell from that. Then it means that the energy is bringing up your attachments, and you're hanging on to negative stuff, and so you're experiencing it. Just let it happen. It's just part of the deal. Let's see, Thordis says, I'd like to talk about the sun's intentions being this power being we are waiting on for humanity's upgrade. I feel for her in a way. It must be complicated loving with such intensity. Yeah, I have a story about that. Give me a second here. I got to clear my throat. All right, so I have a story about that. And you've probably heard it, Thordis, but maybe other people haven't. So, settle in. This is going to be a long story. Again, if you're new, I'm not doing any meditating today because my voice is shot, and so I'm just answering questions. So I didn't have the best human relationship with my mother. And after she died, I was like, I'm glad that's over with. And my life opened up, and things got a lot better. And after doing CE5 and after talking with this guy, not too long after that, some other beings showed up. And this one being was following me around the house. I mean, I didn't see it, but I could feel it behind me. Following me around the house saying, your mom wants to talk to you. I said, I don't want to talk to her. I mean, I wish her all the best. I've made my peace with her and all of that. I don't need to talk to her. She's like, she really wants to talk to you. She really, really, come on. It's just talking. It can't hurt you. Just talk with your mom. So I finally said, okay, fine, I'll talk to my mom. So I went down and meditated, and sure enough, my mom showed up. And she started telling me that we had a past life together. First, she apologized profusely, and she said, I didn't have the tools to know how to interact with you, and I'm very sorry. You didn't deserve that. So she apologized for that, and then she said, we had a past life together. She said, you were my father. And you had been severely abused as a child in that life, and you didn't have the ability to connect with me. And I loved you so much, and you weren't able to, share that with me. And it was just really damaged her. So she said, so I decided that I would be your mother in this life, and then I would give you all of the love that I didn't get. And of course, karma, the way karma, unfolds. And then I remembered something. Just after my mom died, this was long before ETs, just after my mom died, I had a dream. And in this dream, I was walking down a dark stairwell, and I came to the bottom of this basement. And this basement was filled with like old-timey toys, like dolls, like from the 1850s or something. And then there was this little girl with blonde hair. My mom did not have blonde hair. This little girl with blonde hair, and I somehow knew her name was Katie. My mom's name was not Katie. And she was playing with one of her dolls, and she was very sad. And I knew that it was my mom, and I knew that she was sad, and I knew she didn't recognize me. So I said to her, hey, little girl, what are you doing here? She says, I'm waiting for my dad. This is going to bring up some emotions for me. She says, I'm waiting for my daddy to come get me. And then I woke up and I went, oh, holy crap. My mom's soul is stuck somewhere waiting for, I didn't know what to do with it. So I just then said, that's just a dream. I just had a weird dream. But then it turns out my mom tells me that she was my daughter and everything that dream made sense. Now, it goes further than that. So then for months, the soul of my mom, who's now just my friend, she's not my mom. We're now at this place where, we're both souls that have known each other for a long time. She was my mom, I was her dad, and we've got more of an equal friendship. And she was coming to me every day and helping me. And she was incredibly helpful. And she would introduce me to beings, and she was just amazing. And she was, for a long time, she was one of my greatest helpers in interdimensional meditation. And then one day she showed up and she said, so I have to leave now. I have other things I have to do. And I said, okay, I'll see you whenever I see you, and thank you so much. And that was the end of that. And I didn't feel bad. I was perfectly fine. I would have been happy to see her, but no, go enjoy. I thought she was going to reincarnate. I didn't know what was going to happen. So then not too long after that, I was in a meditation and some beings in a ship, some light beings in a ship showed up, and they said, we'd like to take you somewhere. And so my astral body went on their ship, and they took me to the other side of who knows where. And there was this, what it was a nursery of stars that were just being born. And so they said, that star that's just being born wants to talk to you. And again, I'm going to get emotional here. And so I said, okay. And I went out to that star and I said, hi, I heard you wanted to talk to me. And the star said, yes. She said, I'm your mother. And that blew my mind. My mom had just decided to become a sun. Billions of years. And then, of course, I didn't know at that time that souls could be anything they wanted. So I'm like trying to figure out, how can a human soul become a sun? Even though the word soul actually translates to sun. And then she went on and she started saying, I have been watching you for millions of years, and you are so, and she just started heaping all this praise on me. You are so amazing. You are so inspiring. And I wanted to give you a gift so that whenever you looked up in the sky, you would know how you make me feel. Now, I don't know if you can relate to but that just floored me. It was so heavy and so intense and so bizarre. And I felt so guilty, oh my God, the soul of my mom is now trapped in a sun for billions of years because of, and then I had to sit with it, and I had to have some light beings going, you don't understand. This is really great. This is great for her. You're giving her something wonderful, and this gift she's giving to you is also you giving her the gift. And so it doesn't stop there. And if you can follow what I'm saying, you'll understand that we live in a multi-dimensional sandwich, that we're not just one being in the third dimension. We are in so many different dimensions simultaneously. All right, so after, fast forward at least 2 years, and you guys know the Pleiadians come and tell me I was king of Atlantis, and and then I find out from other beings that I was one of the beings that came up with the idea for Earth, and that it was my idea to make it really hard, and I came down here and incarnated, because I had, since it was my idea, I had to live through it and all that, right? So then I started looking into Egyptian religion, because I came to realize, and I won't tell you how I found it, I researched it, and maybe someday I'll give you the link. But I researched it, and I found that the ancient Egyptian pyramids actually have within them, they have all kinds of things in there having to do with the stars and everything. The Egyptologists haven't found it, but it's there. I've seen pictures of it. And one of them has somebody chanting Om in Greek letters. He's chanting Om, and which says that the Greek alphabet is much older. We're talking at least 13,000 years old. It also means that the Sanskrit language is much older, than 7,000 years. It's very, very old. And it's very likely that the people in Atlantis spoke Sanskrit and chanted mantras and things like that. So I started looking at the god Atum, and I have a meditation here at thunderwizard.com in the shop. I have a meditation for Atum, how to become a god. Some people pronounce it Adam. It's Atum. And I started researching about Atum's left eye. His left eye is what do they call that? His left eye is the eye of Sekhmet, and his right eye is the eye of Horus. And at some point, and this coincides with what I remember happening to me. At some point, Atum, he was king of the earth, and he was the god of the earth, ruling over the earth. And people became evil and started rebelling against him and all of that. And so he sent out his left eye, which was Sekhmet. Now, if you look up Sekhmet, she's a goddess. And she's associated with revenge and blood. But really what she is she's the feminine of Atum. And she's the sun. And so he sent her out to go and wipe out the evil people. And so she was also his daughter and also his wife. Okay? Sekhmet was the daughter of Atum and also his Shakti. So I had read about that, and I said, that's really interesting, and it brought up a lot of cool feelings. And then one day I came across some videos, and there's still a temple to Sekhmet. There's a few of them. And there's one temple to Sekhmet where if you go in there and you try and take pictures, weird stuff will happen to the camera. And you can feel all kinds of stuff. And I thought, I'll go check that out. And so I went and I meditated, and I imagined myself going in there, and I said, hi, Sekhmet, I'm Mahadeva. And she goes, it's you. You're back. I've been waiting for you this whole time. Can I come out now? Sorry. And it all came together. And I realized that the connection with my mom, her being my daughter, and my connection with Sekhmet, why do you think I spend so much time going to the sun and sending energy from the sun? It's because on higher levels of my, higher dimensional self, I have a really strong connection with her. So, how's that? You want me to talk about the sun's intention and all of that? So, she loves us so much. And yeah, anyway, I could keep going on, but it's just crazy. I mean, imagine, this is the kind of stuff that's been going on with me over the past couple of years. So you can imagine why my brain kind of broke. Thordis says, we might ask her to teach us to love her on the level she needs the most. Maybe we're doing exactly that here together. It's all, I think that's a great idea to keep asking. Renee loves the Maushan wood set. I'm so happy that you're enjoying that. Arthur enjoys my answer. You're welcome. Arthur, question. When I do the Awakening the Immortals, With the interdimensional meditation, the light beings answer my questions with my voice in my head, and I can vaguely see them. How can I make it clearer? All right. So that is exactly my experience as well. And this is how you know the difference between somebody who's potentially a fake channeler, and they channel some weird accent coming up, because that's not how higher dimensional beings telepathically speak to us. They don't channel through us like that. They speak to us, and to help you understand that, this is why I get so bent out of shape about the difference between dimensions and densities, dimensions and alternate realities. Because most third dimensional people don't know anything about dimensions. They talk about dimensions, but what they mean is alternate universes. So people think that they're tapping into another dimension, and they're not. They're in their mind tapping into an alternate third dimensional universe. So the way to best understand this is, I forget the name of the physicist, but anyway, it's on YouTube somewhere. And he was talking about what would happen if a third dimensional person talked to a second dimensional person. And when he explained it, I knew exactly. I said, that's exactly what I experience. He said that if you were looking at a two-dimensional world and there was a dot in there, a two-dimensional being. Of course, they wouldn't be able to see you because they can't see up or down. And as long as you're not sticking your fingers, on their flat plane, they can't see you. And if you were to say to the second dimensional being, hello, second dimensional being, the second dimensional being wouldn't hear a voice come to them. They would feel within them the greeting in their own voice, and they would think they were losing their mind. And when he said that, I said, oh my God, that's it. And that's what really helped me realize even more that these beings are on a higher dimensional level. So the portal between the third dimension and the fourth, the fifth, the portal between our dimension and higher dimensions is your imagination. So that's why I tell you to freely imagine, because that creates a portal connection. Now, when they communicate, they're going to be communicating, maybe they're communicating telepathically, but they might be thinking in a different language. And what happens is that energy comes into your brain, and your brain will interpret it, and of course it's going to interpret it in your language, in your voice, and in your style of speaking. So that's why in the beginning you think you're just talking to yourself. Because the truth is you have to engage, and so you have to use your imagination that way. So that's exactly my experience as well. So making it clearer, don't try and make it clearer. Relax into it more and choose to believe it. Now, when they talk to you, one of the ways you know that you're not making it up is that you might feel some energy, you might see them like you are, you might see the outlines of them in your mind. But what was I going to say? Oh, and so when they speak to you, you will feel like you are talking to yourself, but then you will hear yourself say something that hits you in a really weird way. And it's either something you don't want to hear, or it's usually something extremely grandiose about how amazing you are, or something like that. And you will think you're talking to yourself, but you will then have this experience of, whoa, what was that? And even though you understand the words you just thought, the energy behind it will feel very different, and sometimes it'll be frightening, or make you nervous, or give you a feeling of anxiety. And that's one of the ways you know, because anxiety is just the third dimensional body going, I don't know what to do with this. I've never seen this energy before. And when they tell you something from a higher dimension, it'll destroy your third dimensional self. So sometimes it feels like you're dying when they're talking to you. And you're confused because you think you're imagining it and you think you've lost your mind and you're now a narcissist, lunatic. That's what happened with me. So one of the things that I do is I don't take anything too seriously. So that I allow myself, because sometimes I will be, I'll be talking to myself and I'll hear myself start to say something weird, and I just let myself do it. I'd say whatever the thing is, and I let it happen, because it's okay. I don't get attached to whether I'm right or not. It's okay to be wrong, and I'm perfectly happy to be wrong. As you know, I've been wrong about a lot of things, so I'm happy to be wrong about it. So I take everything that they say at face value, and I choose to believe it, literally, and at the same time, I choose not to be attached to it. Meaning, I'm going to choose to believe it, but I'm okay if it turns out to be wrong. That's the only way I can talk to them and stay sane. Because if you get attached to it, then, look what happened to me on October 6th, right? I thought I was going to leave this world. So don't get attached to it. What else? Arthur says, oh, okay, I just answered that. Zinc, question. Is it weird if you dated a family member in a different timeline? Again, timeline, I don't use the word timeline. You mean another life. So again, Zinc, I don't know you. I want to sit you down and say, watch this video, take this course I've got, because you say things that I don't say. So timeline means something else. You mean another life? No. Souls, are not. Souls don't have any of that. That's why my mom was my daughter in a past life. That's why Atum, his left eye is his daughter, his wife, and whatever else I said, his sister, his self. So in other timelines, your niece could have been your mother in a past life and could have been your wife in a previous life. So no, it's only weird if you make it weird. She's not that now. She's a family member. So, anyway. What else? Anything else? I don't see anything else. All right, so I'll give you guys a couple seconds to come up with any last minute questions. We've gone about an hour. Okay, I didn't realize that, but I'll blow my nose and you guys come up with another question if you. Nothing? Okay, I guess we're done. All right, my friends, that's it. Send me positive energy. Yes, I hope I feel better soon. I was feeling really crummy last night and today. But I think I'm doing a little better. Yeah, so keep me in your meditations. Because I don't like... Who likes being sick? I don't like being sick. Okay, that's it, my friends. Let's see. Thordis says, thank you for the answer, Mahadeva. And by the way, my dog gets really nervous when he hears the thung sound. Interesting. Okay, that's it, my friends. I love you all. Please be very good to yourselves. And I will see you all very soon.